and inspirational. The topic is From Greece to Columbus, the Falsification of History. Now, the essential purpose of this panel is to analyze, critique, and destroy myths that have been masqueraded as facts from the 5th century to the present day. As you all know, they're getting ready to put on a big celebration for Columbus next year, like he discovered something, people that were already here. And the panel that we have for you this afternoon would dispel all of that and bring to us once and for all the truth about Africa, the truth about Africans, and the truth about the European and his role and what he's done to destroy Africa, and our role in terms of giving civilization to the world. So without any further ado, I'd first like to present to you Professor Edward Scobie. He is a professor of Black Studies in the Black Studies Department at City College in New York. He's also taught there for 17 years. He's taught at Rutgers, Princeton. He's been a mayor of a local city. He's also published and authored a book, Black Britannica. It's the history of blacks in Britain. So without any further ado, I'd like to introduce to some, present to others, Professor Edward Scobie.
Hotep, my brothers and sisters, Hotep. The panel is concerning itself with the falsification of history. That falsification has been going on for a long time, as you can see, from Greece to Columbus. So that's a very long time indeed. And if we're going to deal with falsification, there must have been falsifiers. We know who these falsifiers were and are. To falsify history means that you're telling lies. You're perjuring yourself. You're writing half-truths. You're writing myths. And we cannot allow these myths to go on any longer, because it is precisely those myths, those lies, those half-truths that have caused us as Africans to lose a vision of Africa, the real Africa. People condition themselves when they talk about Africa, and they're positioned around the slave trade and slavery. Africa goes further back in time. In fact, we know as Africans that Africa goes back to the beginning of time. We are the beginning of time on this planet. And so it is precisely that, the removal of these perjuries, that we are about. I think it was Michael Bradley in his The Iceman Inheritance who said that the trouble with the world is the white man.
Yes.
I will say also the white woman.
Please.
And it is this trouble that has caused the confusions, the contentions, the fragmentations of us, our people, as we are not only on the motherland of Africa, but everywhere in the diaspora, everywhere on this planet that African peoples live. And this is not a job. It's a sacred mission. It's a sacred mission that goes on even before the womb and goes on all throughout our natural lives, even when we become ancestors. It's a cyclical process in which we cannot divorce any of our time. Whatever talents we may have, whether it is in writing, whether it is in building, whether it is in doctrine, in administering the law, these are of secondary importance if they do not concern themselves these talents with the redemption of Africa. It is for that purpose that we acquire this training. And I call it training. Again, to talk about falsifying history. We are after knowledge, African knowledge, the beginning of knowledge, to go back to our ancestors and find out. So if we are after knowledge, we must be after truth. And if a history is a falsifying one, it cannot have been after truth. We are the ones that must supply the truth. I am reminded here of something that Jean-Jacques Dessalines once said to Toussaint Louverture, the two great geniuses of the Haitian Revolution. Had Toussaint Louverture taken the advice of Jean-Jacques Dessalines, what eventually happened to him would never have happened to such a brilliant general, such a master tactician. He allowed the fact, and this is something that concerns us today because many of our African brothers and sisters make that same mistake. Toussaint could not divorce himself from France. He thought he was a Frenchman. The French made him understand that he was not. And that is the mistake we make today. There are some of us who cannot divorce ourselves from the entanglement of this unhappy marriage with Europe and Europeans. Toussaint suffered for it. Toussaint thought that there am I, a general, who whipped the daylights out of Napoleon's crack armies.
All right.
I have the country of Haiti in my hand. But he was so, in fact, about integration, about assimilation. You cannot integrate and assimilate with people you have just fought a war with.
That's right.
We cannot do it today because we are fighting a war and we cannot assimilate. We are assimilated as it is.
All right.
Too much, in fact. Toussaint did not realize that. He thought, again, as I said, he was a Frenchman. And so when the people whom he had defeated sent to call him to come to the French general's headquarters, he went. Now, you don't do this type of thing. You behaving as an inferior. There you are, a victorious general. Let those French generals like Boudet and the others come to you. You don't go to them. Especially when you know that they are up to no good. He jumped on his horse with 2 soldiers and he galloped to the French headquarters. When he entered, they made him stand, this general, for fully 20 minutes without anybody coming to address him, to take him into the inner sanctum of Boudet's. What happened? After about standing there for a while, a group of French soldiers rushed into the room and clapped him in chains, took him and put him on a ship called the Creole, and took him to France. This is the kind of treachery that one has to expect from people who have made a history, a life of being treacherous. Treacherous even to themselves. So imagine what they will be to us. Even Alexandre Pétion, who was a general with Toussaint, he was the son of a mixed association. His mother was an African who had been enslaved, and his father was a French aristocrat owning a plantation. Pétion had to say,